here I am doing my thing. It's my turn to be live. I was gonna give you some production pottery throwing skills, tips, whatever, and a little bit of surface decoration. My name is Georgia Donnelly, and I've been making pots for longer than a long time. And it's a little chilly out here because we had a lot of snow last night. Anyway, I'm in New Hampshire, and yeah, it's super fun. So I actually thought that throwing skills, I don't know if anybody else is doing this, but I was gonna trim a little bit first. I have some pots that I made a couple days ago, and they're really itching to be trimmed. So I thought I would do that real quick, and then move on to making some stuff. So I'm gonna start with this big one right here. I don't usually use bats unless the base is nice and wide, and I have a problem with knowing where my wire tool is, but actually, oh, there it is, and I don't think I need it because this one comes off. Okay, so I'm going to use a trimming bat. I've owned the thing once many years ago, and then I got a job as a production potter, and I lent it to a friend, and I never got it back. I never looked back either. Hello, everybody. Wow, look at all these people. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna do some trimming first and find my trimming tool. I just had it in my hand. Nothing like being prepared. I really was prepared. I mean, there it is. Okay. I have a couple things to show you. Anyway, so I'm gonna trim first. Trimming bats are great. This is not quite even, but, and I don't tap center, just so you know. It sounds like a great skill to have, but it's something I don't possess, but that's good. So I always keep my hand on the top and trim, and I'm not, I don't waste my time trimming, I guess is what I want to say. Like get in and get out and get what I want to get as fast as I can. And try and make it level, or at least make sure that there's an indent. If I'm giving it a foot, I want to make sure there's an indent all the way across. I know that's kind of, when I'm working with beginners, it's an easy mistake to say, oh look, I made a foot here, or a little ridge, but I didn't pay attention to it being level all the way across, and so they'll wax the bottom of their feet on the ridge here, and then there's like a big spot here that touches the ground anyway. So I'm just going to go in here and define this one a little bit more. And then my finishing touch is to finger burnish my foot, and then I can kind of round off the corners a little bit more. And it makes for a nice soft foot, especially when you have soft clay. And even if you have groggy clay, finger burnishing might hurt a little more, but it's it'll make for happier countertops, you know. All right, so that's trimming that. It's a little funky, little boogers here and there, but my pots are getting kind of funky these days, so I'm cool with that. And then I have a stamp that I had made a long time ago. And now, because this is a white bottom pot, I'm going to stick my hand in here. Hi, everybody. No, I do nothing to hold this onto the wheel head. I just have my hand on it. So I'm going to flip this back over and put it down somewhere. Actually, I'm going to put it on the other side of my bat and let it sit there for a little while. And I'm going to trim a couple more real fast. This one should have been a mug, but I waited too long. So I'm just going to go in. And it's not even centered. I should center this a little more, but I'm living wild here. Maybe I'll center it a little bit more. Concentric circles are awesome. Take advantage of them if you have them. Hi everybody. I'm like not looking at the camera on purpose because I can do a live video from my my personal page and say hi to all my friends, and you know, like, I don't know, out of however many friends I have, at least half of them are not potters. And so whatever I do is like, you know, magical. But you guys, you're different. Alright, so again, I'm just gonna finger burnish my rims here and maybe do a little bit on the inside. And that's it. And you can see the saying hi to all these people. Hello, all these people. It's so cool to see everybody. Oh, I can put that over here. Oh well. So maybe I'll just do one more of these and then trim the rest later. I don't know how my time is going. So anyway, trimming. This has a little bit of a thicker bottom. This is B-Mix clay, and I find that it feels like it's very dense clay to me, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it. And it is so smooth that it takes a long time to dry. I think, personally, I feel that way. So I can kind of like push it a lot longer. Maybe I could still put handles on these, but we'll see. Alright, I'm just going to smooth out a little bit more. Then I'm going to make some stuff. But this is definitely production trimming on foam bats is makes things go fast. Alright, maybe I'll do one more. I'll do this one because this is a little peek into what I might show you later. Some of you know that I have a day job in the pottery business, not as just an artist, but working for a company. And part of what I get to do is come up with new products and things like that. And I've been furloughed, hopefully not for too long because of this virus baloney. So, you know, instead of go to a conference, things change rapidly, you know. I am not reading. I'm so sorry, Pike, you're asking a question. Is water on my rim or hot dogs to clay to hold? Obviously, it's just practice. That's the best answer. All right, so there's that. I'm holding it down when I trim, but I don't use pieces of clay. It wastes clay and it takes a lot longer, you know? Yeah. That's a new term for 2020, right? Furloughed. I didn't really know it that well before, but now I do. All right, I'm going to move these to the other side of the camera, and I'm going to pay attention to the ones that I trimmed and the ones I didn't trimmed. Yep. I'll put these like this. Okay, I'm going to put these over here, and then I'm going to make some pots. Tilt the camera down. Yes, I will do that. I could maybe bring it down a little bit too. How's that? Is that better? Okay. It's a really dirty wheel because whatever. And I'm just gonna make some real quick cylinders and give you a couple of simple tips without it being a complicated pot, and then maybe move on to something else. Hi, Corey. Okay, good. I didn't know what I was doing. This is a new camera stand for me. All right, so there. So I haven't really been watching all the other videos yet, probably to try to not psych myself out into being too nervous. But I peeked at Becca's right before me, and I have a feeling she probably mentioned a lot of the things that I'm gonna mention, but that's okay. Practice, practice, the more you hear it, right? So I'm just centering this piece of clay, do a little bit of coning, but it's really soft. It doesn't need a lot. So what I want to talk about is keeping your walls dry and being able to pick up your pot when you're done. And do this in one fell swoop here. Pull it in and open it out. Hi, Stacy. And there, kind of just smooth out the inside bottom. My first pottery teacher was a master potter. I considered him a master potter. He studied at Alfred, and he's trained in Japan, and he also was a professional clown. So I have a lot of funny terms for things, which come in really handy when you're teaching kids how to make pottery. Thanks, Gail. So I want to make sure there's some moisture here. And I use my sponge as a crutch and I keep it in my hand, but I am using my fingers. And my outside finger is just a little bit underneath my inside finger. And a little bit below, actually. So that's what it looks like there. And I don't have any plans for what this is going to be. Yeah, totally random. He went by Mr. Nose. It was a very unique experience. Although I imagine apprentice potting is probably a unique experience in itself. Alright, so I'm going to use this favorite tool of mine. This is like Production Potter's Secret. And it's aluminum, maybe? It's pretty hard. And I'm just getting, really more than anything else, I'm scraping off all the wet clay on the outside. And from there, I can design or whatever, maybe put some kind of light shape to the outside. Just like a gestural throw lines. It's not a great shape, but it's a tumbler. And so then the other thing I'm going to do is, this is a little bevel here. And then bring it back in. You don't want to skirt. You just want to straighten. And no skirt. And so now that it's really dry on the outside, this can really be easily picked up. And I'm going to show you how fast it goes. Wire it off. And I can, it's like so dry on the outside, it's like a fresh piece of clay. I'm going to put it down. Actually, I'm probably going to put it down for now. I'll squish it later. Okay, so I'm going to make something bigger. Oh, whoops. Moving on. When I make bigger pots, I usually take the bat off. I'm gonna switch bats because this is my single pot bat that I've always pulled the bats off. It's nice and thick and it doesn't warp. Thick bats are good for not warping. I'm gonna toss this over here, and I'm gonna grab another bat because I did set some aside for these. Yeah, so if I make something with a wide base, I use a bat. Because I'm going to pick it up with the bat. Hi, Beth. How's it going? So many people I haven't seen in a long time, and I still won't see you, but... Alright, I'm going to pay attention to the camera if you have any questions. This is B-Mix clay. I actually have a little bit of B3 brown to use as well. I really like brown clay, and I'm on the hunt for a Laguna brown clay that I like that would be a good substitute for what I used to use in Florida. So this is about 5 pounds. It might be like a hair more or less. So I'm just going to center a cone up and cone back down. And I've got my fingers pushed in at the base because there's nothing less fun than like a bump on the outside, you know. What was your issue with B3 brown, Crystalline? Because I'm really just starting to try it out. I have a couple of pieces that are finished and I'm undecided about how I feel about them. I am standing up, yes. That's another production trick. It's so much better on your back. And so I'll tell you, when I first started production throwing, I worked for this company that had it was a tourist destination, and we had a sit-down wheel and a stand-up wheel, and literally busloads of people would come and watch me throw, and I was by myself in a room, and like busloads, like hundreds of people would come through, and I found that if I was standing up, they weren't standing over me, and I could look at them face to face, and I definitely had a lot more like personal space that way. All these wheels, almost all of them sell legs. I'm using some cinder blocks, and I have my wheel head belly button height. It also, you know, you can move around a lot more. I really prefer standing by far. So yeah, there's other benefits, I'm sure, but glaze failures, bloating. Yeah, no, I definitely recommend standing. It's way easier. It does take a little bit of a learning curve, but I recommend it. And then the second place that I was a production potter, it wasn't even a question. Everybody stood. Our audition, when you go to be a production potter, you generally audition. And second place I worked, they gave us a square bat and a standing wheel. And it was kind of like, if you could do this, you can, you know. And I had done both, so it was a nice, easy audition for me the second time around. The first time I was a little more nervous. So, how is my foot pedal position? Standing and throwing, but I want to keep trying. So, I really should switch feet every so often. I use my right foot, but if I'm standing for a whole day, if I'm throwing for 8 hours, I try to move my pedal to the other side for 4 and 4. I knew a girl who put her pedal up on the table and just used her hand, which I haven't tried, but it's a thought. But definitely switching feet back and forth. And you can always take your foot off the pedal and it's at the same, you know, I can walk over here and it's the same speed. Also, there's whatever the Shimpo wheels, the RKs have a handle on them. I had that set up on cinder blocks in the last place I lived, and that was great because there's a lever and I could just not worry about the pedal and, you know, speed it that way. Hi, Denise. So, I don't know what I'm making here, but I'll make something. Oh, and I'll show you some of the surface decoration things I was going to do. So, I have lately been doing a lot of faceting in my work and working with colored slip and all sorts of things like that, and playing with resist and underglaze and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit of, When your weight is placed on one foot, it falls asleep. Well, then you should definitely go back and forth. See what your time limit is, you know. I don't know how many of you throw for 8 hours a day. I don't do that anymore. I'm a homeschool mom now, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna bring this up. And when I facet pots, it's important that I want to make it higher than I plan it to be, because once I put the lines in, I don't want to touch the outside. Thank you, Stacy. It's fun. It's been a fun learning thing where I've not had to rely on selling it to experiment, you know. Alright, so I'm gonna just bring it up nice and tall from the outside, and then I'll bring it up from the inside again. It's getting a little muddy out here. That's okay. And I'm gonna stick my hand in here because I want it taller, and this is a lot of clay. What do you use for color slip? Well, I make my own, and when I go back to work, I'll sell it. But it's basically slip with ceramic colorants. It's a pretty simple recipe. So I'm keeping the wall nice and thick. And just, I kind of like to set a little rim here, and that gives me a stopping point at the top. And then I'll do the same at the bottom. Yeah, that mug came out nice. My mom got that one, the Mug Shop Monday from this week. My mom claimed that one. She got it yesterday. So she was like, it's staying in the family. So that's nice. She's starting a little museum for me in Florida. Usually she gets the dregs, which is sad, but it's definitely true. All right. So I'm just going to trim there. I'm going to go in and kind of make sure this is an even wall. Even thickness. Taking off a lot of slime there, which it doesn't really matter if I'm going to facet something. All right, here comes the fun part. Is I have a faceter, but any cheese cutter will do. Ooh, that was snow falling off the roof. And I'm going to do this all the way around. And then I'm going to do some decorating before I open it up. And then I have a lot of leftover clay to reclaim. Also, not my favorite thing to do, to reclaim, but it's the price I pay for making the pots I want. So I'm going to go all the way around. This is my faceting tool. It's a Dirty Girls faceting tool. I used it for work to, I don't know, do like an ad, you know? And I fell in love with it. So it's definitely my favorite tool these days. All right, so from here, I'll show you what I've been doing. I have all these colored slips, and I have all these kind of resist designs that I like to play with. I have a bunch of, I have a couple of homemade ones that I'm going to use, but then I also have some like store-bought stencils, you know? How tall is the cylinder when I start to facet it? This is the side. All right, so this is about 9 inches tall. It's pretty heavy. It's gonna be a sturdy piece of pottery. Let's put it that way. All right, so I'm gonna take, I like the plastic stencils. They work really well, and I haven't tried this design a whole lot, but I'm really gonna work in the front so you can see it. On hand-built cylinder, how thick should my wall be to facet? Well, I would say twice this distance, maybe a little less than twice this thickness, because you want to be able to cut through, because this will stop it right here. Stop it from going any deeper, but you want to make sure that your wall has enough thickness left over to survive. All right, so I have a couple favorite colors. So I'm going to go with this one because it's really pretty. I will twist these, and hopefully, and sometimes they twist a little too much and you almost can't see the pattern, but all right, so here's my colored slip. It's pretty thick. I have had a whole batch of it ready to go before we closed our doors for a while. All right, anyway, so I'm just gonna brush right over this. Oh, and I went a little, I don't want to do that there. I'm gonna wipe that off. Boom. So satisfying. All right, and I'm gonna get the rest of this now. This will be tricky, but let's start there. I also don't want to use this part because some of it's on the back side and it'll get a little muddy. So it's kind of a little bit of, or a lot of bit of washing between uses. Good. This is a little tall than what I've done before. And then I'll show you another one, maybe on another side here. So at this point, if I think it's messy, it almost doesn't matter because once I open it up, this will kind of stretch out and you won't see it. But I like to clean it up a little bit just with my fingers. And clean fingers, it'll come off pretty easily. Do you have flocculent in my slip? I don't remember my recipe. There might be one, but I don't think so, to be honest. All right, and so now I'm going to show you this other one. I have been playing with my own resist designs, and I figured out that I have a little cutting mat, and I like using these things. They're very handy to make these things. Also, if you are making any jewelry, he's 5. He's just really loud. If you make jewelry, these make great earring cards instead of buying them. Oh, I just got that dirty, but I'll show you. These are going out to somebody today, and it's just on this card. Real easy. All right, so I'm gonna put this little bird here. You can maybe see the shape better from the other side. Just a little bird. We have lots of birds here at my house since we moved. I think I'm gonna, this isn't gonna work because once I open it up, it's gonna get deformed. So I'm actually not gonna do this one on this. I'll make a platter and show you from the bottom, now that I think about it. So I'm just gonna do this for now. I'll do it on the next one. Stopping myself. And I'm just gonna trim this bottom up a little bit again. Okay, and now I'm gonna open it up. And sometimes these taller pieces they don't want to go as wide. And when I see that I kind of wobbled it a little bit doing that, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna open it up. And it should spiral a little bit. Oh, it's wobbling. It's not happy, this one. And it's not really twisting either. I'm sorry. A little bit it did. And it kind of opened up this a lot. You see that? That's kind of really nice that way. So I'm going to open it a little more. Playing with fire here. This really wants to collapse. But I'm going to leave it like that. So it's a beautiful vase. Not at all a bowl, but Definitely one of the greatest things to learn is when to stop. I'm sure you all know that or are about to learn it, when to stop when you're ahead. All right, so this is a heavy piece. I wouldn't want to pick it up. And also, unless I have a good grip on the bottom, I don't want to pick up this. It's super heavy on the bottom. I wouldn't call this a successful piece, but this part I like. So there's that. Okay, so for my next trick, I'm going to do a platter, and I'll do that bird on the base, kind of the same way. I need a towel. There it is. I don't know what time it is. Oh, I have a half an hour. Okay. Let's see. This is... I measured this, but I forgot how much it weighed. No, wait, this is also 5 pounds. Yes, definitely, and no touching that slip part because that's super wet. I'm just gonna round it out a little bit. Hopefully not push my wheel off the cinder blocks. One thing you definitely have to pay attention to is there's a little bit of maintenance when you put your wheel on cinder blocks is to make sure it's not sliding forward, or put it against the wall. You might have a better idea of what's going on. All right, so this will be a platter, so I can do the inside bottom. I'll make something like that one, a casserole dish. More and more, I find that I really love casserole dishes because I can put everything in one casserole dish and put it in the oven and not have a bunch of pots on the stove. So again, coning to center. And I'm almost there. It's a little bumpy on the bottom. I'm going to push down. All right, so part of plattery things is low, wide, centered piece of clay, which is sort of a trick in itself. Or something too. Oh, brown clay on my hand. I was like, what is that? Anyway, low, wide, centered piece of clay. One of my favorite things to make at the last place I production pottered was pie plates. Hi, Kristen. I love making pie plates. They took a lot out of me. I was exhausted at the end of the day, but it was a good exhausted, and it was a satisfying day to have a whole cart full of them. So I'm just going to open this up. This could be a pie plate. It's so much clay. And actually, pie plates make excellent casserole dishes. If anybody has any good kid-friendly casserole or one-pot recipes, you send them my way. I'm always looking for new things to feed my kids. I am usually on dinner duty, except, so obviously I'm here because Antika has been canceled. And my husband took the week off to watch the kids. And he still has the week off. So it's kind of nice. We actually have a whole family week together. He is considered essential, working in a hospital. So there's that. It's good. One of our incomes is safe, which is a relief. No, plates are not easy. Hey, Jersey, what exit? I spent a lot of my first 25 years in New Jersey. All right, so this is pretty thick. I would put a foot into this one at this thickness. I'm going to push it down a little more. I don't do that needle tool test. I kind of have an idea of over here where my thumb is as opposed to where my finger is. So I know that that's how thick it is, you know? Nice. Central Jersey. You're two different people from New Jersey, though. That's okay. I apprenticed in Livingston, New Jersey. And I used to teach at the New Jersey Center for Visual Arts before I moved up to Vermont, New Hampshire area. Yeah, it's getting rough over there in that neighborhood. I hope so too. All right, so I'm gonna do a faceted bowl again because I like them. So I'm gonna bring this one in. Oh, protective gear up here. New Hampshire and Vermont is behind the curve for now. Hopefully they stay that way. They're you know, keeping everybody 6 feet apart is not a difficult task when the population is so sparse already. I was a member of the New Jersey Potters Guild for a little while. And you taught in East Hanover. Nice. I have a few friends that are still members of the guild. So I'm going to facet this one. This one gets a lot more facets. This will be kind of a multi-purpose here because I'll do a design on the inside and I'll facet the outside too. This one, I faceted one like this the other day and it didn't really bring out that spiral, which is fine. Doesn't have to. It's nice, but it's not always, you know, the goal, especially when this is just going in and out of the oven. More functional, you know? Gosh, so the last time when I was in the New Jersey Potters Guild, I was, well, let's see, it was 18 years ago. I was young, early 20s, I would say. But it's been a while. Oh, this has got some, I cut up some brown clay, and so that I can see a little bit of it in the, in these cuts, which is kind of cool. That's a nice little surprise of color there. Almost done doing this. Rest of the way around, almost done, almost done. Burp. Oh, my finger's dirty too. With brown, I mean. There. All right. I think I got every spot. Maybe a little there. All right. It's funny, I went from really loving super throw lines. Why, thank you. You know the way to a girl's heart. If only I felt 23 or 24. All right, so now I'm gonna open this up and then I'm gonna do some work on the inside. So not touching the outside anymore. And just opening this up, kind of rounding it out. And I'll go over the middle a little bit too. Flatten you out. And then I'll smooth this rim here. It's a little muddy in some spots. But because I set that little extra bit, I can totally touch this outside part. Very technical outside part. The rim here, because I set it aside sort of so my faceting stops a little bit below. All right. So that's that. I'm gonna do a little bit of trimming on the bottom. It didn't do any spiraling, but that's okay. I think it looks okay the way it is. And I'm going to do a little bit of stuff on the inside. So I think I'm going to use this one. Oh, it's dirty on the side. It's dirty on the side. All right, so I'm going to use this. And I'm going to push it on so that I kind of like that these are plastic because they stick really well, especially to like this damp clay. And P.S. the slip that I'm using is actually made from the same clay that I'm using, so I'm not worried about it being different. Although you can use like a regular AP all-purpose slip, you know. This one in particular that I have is the first trial of making colored slip, and I just went with the clay that I used because I thought that was smart. This is just a store-bought thing. What is it called? It's got a word. Stencil. You would like paint your wall or do paper crafting or whatever, and I just like the plastic ones. I've been very tempted to get myself a Cricut. Might still do that. All right, so this is kind of a leafy pattern, so I'm gonna carefully put this leafy pattern in. Hopefully it's not going underneath because I pushed it down. And I'm just gonna go around and make it kind of like a circle here a little bit. I'm gonna try not to go over the edge of my thing and make it like a circle-ish. I recognize my Brent. It is a Brent. I've had this wheel. Where did I buy this wheel? I bought it in Florida, I think. Nice. I like when that happens. All right, so then after that, I'm going to just dry this. I'm going to smooth the edges a little bit because I see the corner lines, you know, of the stencil. And I'm going to use a hair dryer and dry it, a little speed drying. And then I'm going to use my own over top of it because I think it'll go well. So I have a little hair dryer. This is going to get loud. But it is, you know, how it works. All right, let's see. Dry hands. Always be careful when you're using a hair dryer. Zzzt. Right? Just kidding. I'll unplug that and plug this in. All right, let's see. Are we working? No. Oh, and now we work. Okay. So I'm going to dry this pretty quickly. I'm going to use high heat and high air. And I'm going to spin it a little bit. I did a little work with sodium silicate, so I was using a torch for a while, but I didn't know how to move a torch. I can still leave. Yes, this is ceramic pigment slip. Cricut is, it's like a machine that cuts lots of different materials. Yeah, you can make, sorry, that was my mom FaceTiming me. Did not tell her I had plans this afternoon. If I touch it, I'll mess it up. I'm going to touch it right around the edge. Yeah, right foot. Cricut. But it says, you say Cricut, right? I'm going to say that's good enough for demonstration's sake. Alright, so I have an old one, and then I just made another one that has a little more to it. There it is. What's my little bird? Oh, so sodium silicate is another way to decorate the outside of your work. I have these sodium silicate pots. I can go into the house and show you one. But it puts a big crackle on the outside, and you use a blowtorch or a hair dryer to dry the outside, and then you push it out and it makes this awesome texture. But I didn't move with my blowtorch, and I haven't had a chance to, or a reason to get another one just yet, but I probably will. All right, so I want to make sure this is nice and sharp. The edges, it's a little rough. But anyway, so I'm going to put this right in the middle. I'm gonna squish it down. Oh, and I think I did a good job. This is a little bit dry, and I'm gonna push it in a little bit actually. Kind of just tapping it in because I don't want to smear my design. And I'm just gonna do the outline of the bird. Bird, right? And I have a couple colors to try. I really am partial to my purple slip, so I'm gonna go with that one. Ooh, I need a sponge, or not a sponge, a brush. I want kind of like a fan-ish brush. Here's one. All right. I'm just gonna do the outline. Can you guys see this? There. Okay, so here's my purple slip. It's nice and thick. I really like it thick because I also like to sometimes give just a big swash of texture too sometimes. I love the way textured slip looks. And so I'm just gonna do this and do kind of an outline with my bird. You can see how this goes. This is like, I did one already like this, and I really love it, and I wanted to make a bigger one. A little differently though. I had a couple different layers of color. I'm gonna go around and just get the outline of my bird. We have a lot of bird feeders out in our backyard because we kind of moved from an urbanish, not really urbanish, but urbanish for this town area into a little more of a rural part of the town. And so we put out boatloads of bird feeders. And now we have like all the birds in the neighborhood are our friends now. And our cats love it. Right, so I'm gonna use a needle tool to pop this up. I'm gonna go from this end actually because I didn't get this far. And see, bird. That's kind of cool. It looks like a bird on skis, not gonna lie. But I like it. I'm turning around and pick it up here. With my bat lifter. There it is. There. I'll show you it right side up. So that'll be a fun thing. And then I'll just try to clear. Put some clear over this. Always buns out for me. I love this color. So I'm sticking with it. Oh, it's heavy. It could have been a lot bigger for this size. Alright, so I'm gonna put this over here because there's not any room, so I'm behind the camera. And I'll come back around. Ouch. And I only have a little more time left, so I'm gonna do some of this B3 brown. And change it up to a different color. I should clean up my mess too, actually. It's kind of chilly out here in my studio. It's really a front porch with giant screen windows, and we put plastic. We kind of like plastic insulated on both sides. It's still pretty cold. I fired to cone 6. It's also, if you ever switch from white to brown, smart to go with the white first, in case you use the same color, and it's different colors in the same day. And I lost my sponge. There's one. Yeah, I disked to 04 and I glazed to 6. I should give you like a top side view to that. This is B3 brown. It's a cone 6, like chocolate brown clay, and it's got impalpable grog, so you can just barely feel it. You can probably make some nice big pieces with this. And I'm kind of testing it out to see if it's the brown that I want to start using, because I do like brown clay a lot. I use a lot of, I don't know if I have that off the top of my head, but I do use a lot of slip, or a lot of stain. I like the colors really rich. I have an idea. I'm gonna play with some more slip here. This one will give a nice spiral, I think. I have a hunch. This, I think the harder clays, this is a little bit stiffer than the B-Mix. I think they tend to move a little more because they fight a little bit more about getting pushed out. So they tend to twist, I think. I could be wrong. But I can feel the slip, I mean the grog when I cut these. I'll put that there. And I'm going to put a little texture-y slip on this one too. Just actually to give it some, I'm not going to do any fancy design with it. Sorry, that was my mom again. For Mason Stain with your slips. I use a lot. I don't know, like a quarter or 1/16 or something. It's a lot. All right, let's see. 2 minutes. I managed to get through this whole thing. I didn't think I was going to have enough to say. I'm going to use some sage gray. I like this color. And it's very nice and thick. I like, see that? Boom. I'm going to just do this whole thing. I could be using my hands to apply this, but I don't want to contaminate the gray with the brown clay. And you'll still see the twist, I think. I'm going to smooth the top. And I'm going to open it up. Okay, here we go. Oh, that had a nice little turn to it. I think faceting it really highlights the angle that the clay moves. I think this is probably, without faceting it, you would get a little bit of a twist with the slip, you know, if you put it in stripes. But faceting it kind of highlights those corners a lot more. All right, and that might be the end of my time. I think it is. All right. Thanks for watching, and talk to you next time. Okay? Bye.